24 hours without social media. Stick figure edition is exactly what it sounds like. A tiny confused stick figure, attempting to survive a full day without scrolling, liking, posting, stalking, doom scrolling, or pretending to read captions, while actually judging people's vacations. It's a psychological experiment, disguised as a cartoon meltdown. Imagine your brain, which has been trained like a dopamine-loving lab rat, suddenly losing access to the glowing rectangle that feeds it constant novelty. No likes, no memes, no random videos of raccoons stealing pizza, just reality. So, what actually happens inside your brain when social media disappears for 24 hours? Let's get right into it. Number 10. Phantom notifications. The stick figure sits quietly at a table, phone face down, determined, focused, strong. 30 seconds later, it flips the phone over nothing. This is where the brain starts playing tricks on you. There's a real psychological phenomenon called phantom vibration syndrome. When people swear their phone buzzed, even though it didn't, your brain literally hallucinates notifications because it expects them. Why? Because every notification is basically a tiny dopamine lottery ticket. Sometimes it's important. Sometimes it's someone liking your photo from 2017. Sometimes it's a friend sending a meme that makes zero sense, but you laugh anyway. Your brain learns this pattern quickly. Random rewards create stronger habits than predictable ones. Casinos use this trick. Video games use this trick. Social media perfected it. So, when the stick figure bans social media for a day, the brain still expects that reward. The nervous system waits, and then invents a buzz that never happened. The stick figure checks the phone again. Still nothing. At this point, your brain isn't checking for messages anymore. It's checking for emotional snacks. Basically, your nervous system is standing by the fridge at midnight hoping cake magically appears. Number 9. The time walk. Without social media, something extremely weird happens. The time. The stick figure wakes up, makes coffee, sits down, looks around. 5 minutes past. It feels like 2 hours. This happens because social media is one of the most efficient time compression machines humans have ever built. Infinite scrolling keeps feeding the brain tiny bursts of novelty. New post, new face, new joke, new argument between strangers about pineapple on pizza. Your brain loves novelty. It releases dopamine whenever something new appears. Social media gives your brain novelty. Every 3 seconds remove it, and suddenly, the brain has to deal with something it hates: silence. With that constant stimulation, the brain starts noticing everything else. The ticking clock, the weird noise in the wall, the fact that your chair squeaks every time you move. The stick figure stares at the clock again. Only 12 minutes have passed. This is when the brain realizes something terrifying, that a full day is actually extremely long. Social media didn't just entertain you, it quietly shredded your sense of time, like a paper shredder made of cat videos. Number 8. The identity crisis. Round R3. The stick figure reaches a strange psychological checkpoint. It sees something funny. Normally, this moment would trigger an automatic response. Take picture, post, wait for reactions, but today, nothing happens. The stick figure just stands there holding the phone, like a confused archaeologist discovering a rock. This reveals something weird about modern psychology. Social media subtly rewires how we experience life. Instead of asking, "Am I enjoying this?" the brain asks, "Would this make a good post?" Moments become content. Meals become photos. Vacations become highlight reels. When social media disappears, your brain suddenly loses its external audience. And humans behave very differently when nobody is watching. The stick figure slowly puts the phone away. For the first time in a while, the moment just exists. And no caption, no filter, no algorithm deciding if it deserves attention. It turns out your brain isn't just addicted to scrolling. It's also addicted to being seen. Without that audience, the stick figure feels oddly invisible, like a comedian performing stand-up in an empty room. Number 7. The doom scroll withdrawal. Around R5, things get dramatic. The stick figure sits on the couch, staring at the wall like a philosopher who lost Wi-Fi. This is when the brain starts craving doom scrolling, the strange habit of endlessly consuming negative news, arguments, and chaos online. It sounds unpleasant, but the brain actually finds it stimulating. Conflict, outrage, and shocking information trigger strong emotional responses, and strong emotions glue your attention to the screen. Without social media, the brain suddenly loses that emotional roller coaster. So what does it do? It tries to recreate it. The stick figure opens a weather app, then closes it, then opens it again. Not because the weather changed, but because the brain is desperately searching for something to react to. Humans evolved to monitor threats in their environment. Social media just turned that survival instinct into a 24-hour drama feed. Without it, your brain feels strangely bored. Not peaceful, just bored, which is ironic, because boredom is exactly the state where creativity usually begins. But the stick figure hasn't reached that part yet. Right now it's just staring at the ceiling, wondering if clouds ever get bored of floating. Number 6. The productivity mirage around R8. The stick figure suddenly becomes ambitious. It stands up dramatically, cracks its tiny stick figure knuckles, and announces to absolutely nobody, "Today I will be productive." This is a classic psychological rebound effect. When people remove a distraction like social media, their brain immediately assumes they will transform into a hyper-focused productivity machine. Reality is less cinematic. Instead of becoming a productivity ninja, the stick figure spends 20 minutes reorganizing the same 3 pencils on its desk. Then it cleans the table, then it wipes the phone screen, then it rewipes the phone screen. Without social media stealing attention, every few minutes, the brain suddenly notices how difficult focus actually is. Social media didn't create your short attention span, it just made it obvious. Your brain runs on a simple rule. It always prefers easy dopamine over slow rewards. Scrolling equals instant stimulation. Working on something meaningful equals delayed payoff. Guess which one the brain prefers? The stick figure eventually opens a notebook to start something important. 0.5 minutes later, it's doodling a very dramatic drawing of a sandwich, wearing sunglasses. The lesson here isn't that social media destroy your productivity. It's that your brain has always been a chaotic little goblin. Social media just gave it better toes. Number 5. The social phantom limb. Around at 12, the stick figure experiences something even stranger. Loneliness, not real loneliness, the kind where you miss specific people. This is more like ambient loneliness, the quiet sense that something social should be happening, but isn't. Social media tricks your brain into feeling constantly surrounded by people. You see hundreds of lives unfolding: birthdays, vacations, random thoughts about coffee, someone's dog wearing a sweater. Your brain registers all of that as social activity, even though you're just sitting alone, staring at a glowing rectangle. Take that away and suddenly the room feels quieter. The stick figure checks its phone again. No messages. It puts the phone down, then picks it back up again 5 seconds later, like a raccoon checking the same trash can, hoping new food magically appeared. Humans evolved in small tribes, where social feedback happened constantly. Eye contact, conversation, laughter, arguments about who stole whose berries. Social media became a digital substitute for that feedback. Remove it and your brain briefly panics, like it just lost the tribe. The stick figure sighs dramatically and looks out the window. A bird flies by for a moment. The stick figure considers waving at it honestly. At hour 12, that bird is basically your entire social network. Number 4. The creativity reboot around R16. Something interesting finally happens. The stick figure is lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling, the universal human pose for thinking too hard about existence. And then an idea appears. This happens because boredom isn't just emptiness. It's actually a trigger for the brain's default mode network, the system responsible for imagination, reflection, and random thoughts that turn into ideas. When social media constantly fills every quiet moment, the brain really enters this mode. But now the stick figure has nothing else to do. So the brain starts connecting weird dots. What if clouds are just sky islands? What if birds think humans are extremely slow pigeons? What if I built a tiny catapult? One thought leads to another. Soon the stick figure is sketching ideas in a notebook. Ridiculous inventions, strange jokes, tiny comic strips. This is the part people forget about. Digital detoxes. The brain doesn't stay bored forever. Given enough time, boredom mutates into curiosity. And curiosity is basically creativity. Wearing sweatpants, the stick figure suddenly feels strangely entertained without scrolling anything, which is confusing because the phone was supposed to be the entertainment machine. Number 3. The attention reset. R20 arrives quietly. The stick figure is sitting at a table reading a book, something that previously would have lasted about 3 paragraphs before the irresistible urge to check notifications kick in, but now something strange is happening. The stick figure is still reading 0.5 minutes, 0.10 minutes, 0.20 minutes. This happens because your attention span isn't permanently broken, it's just adaptable. Social media trains the brain to jump rapidly between tiny pieces of information. Every swipe is a new stimulus, new face, new joke, new outrage, new dog wearing sunglasses. Your brain adapts to this environment by shortening its attention cycles. It becomes extremely good at scanning, but terrible at staying. Take social media away for long enough though, and the brain slowly recalibrates. It's like switching from a high-speed highway to a quiet country road. At first the silence feels uncomfortable, to slow, to empty, then eventually, your brain remembers something ancient and weird. Focusing on one thing can actually feel relaxing. The stick figure finishes an entire chapter, then pauses, then flips the page. This is a huge moment. Historically speaking, this is the longest continuous attention span the stick figure has had. Since the invention of short-form video, basically, the brain has stopped acting like a caffeinated squirrel. Number 2. The emotional stabilizer by R22. The stick figure's emotional state has changed in a subtle but important way. It feels karma. Social media is an emotional roller coaster. In the span of 5 minutes, you can experience admiration, jealousy, outrage, amusement, confusion, curiosity, and mild existential dread. Someone posts vacation photos. Someone posts terrible news. Someone argues about something ridiculous. Someone shares a motivational quote written in suspiciously fancy fonts. Your brain processes all of this like a constant stream of social signals. Even when you think you're just casually scrolling, your nervous system is reacting to dozens of emotional triggers every minute. Remove that stimulus for a full day, and the emotional nose slowly fades. The stick figure sits quietly with a cup of tea. Nothing dramatic is happening. No arguments. No trending outrage. No mysterious internet debates about whether cereal is technically soup. Just quiet, and in that quiet, the brain settles down. Not because life suddenly became perfect, but because your nervous system isn't being pinged by 300 strangers' opinions per hour, which, biologically speaking, is an extremely unnatural amount of humans to emotionally process. The stick figure sighs peacefully. This might be the calmest it has been since it first downloaded social media. Number 1. The Great Return Hour. 24. The stick figure stares at the phone like an astronaut preparing to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. The experiment is technically over. Social media is allowed again. The brain feels two opposite urges at the same time. First urge: open everything, notifications, memes, messages. The digital world must have evolved dramatically in the past 24 hours. Second urge: maybe wait, because something interesting happened. During this weird little experiment, the stick figure realized something. Social media itself wasn't the villain. The problem was autopilot. Most people don't consciously decide to check social media. Their brain just drifts toward it. Whenever there's a moment of boredom, uncertainty, or mild discomfort,